A very good morning to all my dear friends. I hope you all are doing good. This is Prashant Mawani and I welcome all of you to StudyIQ. Dear friends, today we have many important items to talk about. So we will quickly jump on to editorials and articles, but before moving ahead, please allow me to introduce all of you to our pen drive and tablet courses for different exams like SSC, Bank, UPSC and other government exams. StudyIQ provides you with pen drive and tablet courses. These pen drive and tablet courses are designed by the best faculties of our country, so the quality that you are going to get with this pen drive and tablet courses is going to be off top of the range. The thing is, if you have any further question or query regarding it, you can feel free to give us a call on this number, and do not forget to check out studyiq.com. The first editorial that we have is about an ordinance that has been passed by the Rajasthan government. Now, before moving on to this editorial, let me briefly explain you what ordinance is all about. You know that parliament and state legislative assemblies, right, this they are responsible for passing laws, isn't it? Here these are the houses, you can say, or these are the temples where you debate, where you come out with laws, isn't it, where you pass your laws. But many times what happens, we know it that say for example, let's take example of the parliament, right? Parliament applies to all India. So in parliament we have two sort of houses. We have upper house, that is Rajya Sabha, and we have lower house, that is Lok Sabha. To pass any sort of law, it has to be passed by both the houses, isn't it? So you need both the houses. So many a times what happens, say for example, if both the houses are not in session at present, winter session has not started yet. So if, say for example, country requires a sort of law to deal with some situation, then what can we do during this sort of time? Dear friends, what happens is that the president, when it comes to all India, the president has power to promulgate ordinances, right? So to promulgate ordinance, right? Ordinance is basically, you can say, it is a sort of a law, right? But it is not passed yet by the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, or upper house and lower house, but the president has applied or has issued this law. Of course, the president is driven by the advice of Council of Minister headed by Prime Minister. That means eventually it will be the Prime Minister or the ruling party will decide what sort of laws are required. Once these ordinances are issued by the president, and remember they can be issued only when either both the houses are not in session, or either only one house is in session. We know that Rajya Sabha, you cannot dissolve Rajya Sabha, it is only Lok Sabha that gets dissolved, isn't it? So if the Rajya Sabha is going on and if Lok Sabha is not there, then yes, during this point of time, ordinance can be issued by president. When it comes to state assemblies, right, legislative assembly, it is the governor who promulgates ordinances, right? And there are some other important items here, like say for example, it is a sort of co-extensive power with legislative power, right? So it is not to eliminate this legislative power. It is, of course, it is required, or the constitution gives more emphasis to the house, because it is in the house where you debate and dissent, and you think about the pros and cons of laws, isn't it? So of course it is necessary many times in sort of situation where the houses are not in session. At that point of time, these ordinances can be of great help, no doubt about it. Then the other thing is that it has the same force and effect as of a law, right? So it is not that ordinances are less powerful. It is as powerful as a law passed by the house. It is not a discretionary power, as I told you, that it is the Council of Minister headed by Prime Minister when it comes to president, and when it comes to governor, it is Council of Minister headed by Chief Minister. So the advices are of course going to be political in nature, and the maximum validity, right, could be 6 months. For 6 months it could be there, but when the house reassembles, right, after that it has 6 weeks time. So in total you can say, roughly speaking, 7 months and 7.5, right? 7.5 is the right time. You have 7 complete months and a fortnight, so 7.5 months is the maximum sort of validity of this ordinance. Of course it can be re-promulgated as well. So these are the important things regarding ordinance. It should be absolutely crystal clear by now, right? Now this Rajasthan ordinance, Rajasthan government has came out with an ordinance, and what this ordinance is all about, it is making it a punishable offense, right? If you are disclosing the name of public servants like civil servants and other people, government officials, if they are engaged in, say, for any sort of corruption, and if the media or if any sort of whistleblower, if they are releasing the name of these people in public without prior approval of the government, then it is a sort of punishable offense under Rajasthan's this new law that is being issued with the help of this ordinance. The thing is, you can understand very clearly, isn't it? Now what happens here is, say for example, there is a person called A. Now A is a government official and he or she is engaged in corruption. Maybe it's not proven by the court, but there are some evidence, or there is a sort of talk in the air. So if there is a whistleblower who knows something about something fishy being done by A, right, and if this whistleblower is raising an alarm against this Mr. A or Miss A without prior approval of the government, then this whistleblower will be jailed for 2 years. Now what happens is that this person A will get extra layer of shield, isn't it, that is been provided by the government itself. The other thing is that we know very well that this is something that happens in our country. It is still going on, that we have a sort of nexus, a sort of a partnership between civil servants and political parties, isn't it? We know it very well that when it comes to, say for example, police department, the transfers and everything is been done by Home Ministry. Now if Home Ministry, which is of course run by a minister who is part of ruling party, then he will try, he or she, whoever the minister is, will ensure that police is performing in such a way that his political party is not affected at all. It isn't it? So these are the things. Political interference in this way is going to provide. You cannot expect police to perform well when it is directly controlled by politicians, isn't it? In the same way, when you have nexus between politicians and civil servants, right, then what happens is the democracy gets crushed, isn't it? And this is something that is clearly stated by the Supreme Court as well. In 2014, Supreme Court said that earlier there used to be laws where if you want to, say for example, conduct an investigation against a rank of any official who is either joint secretary or above a joint secretary level rank, then you need to take prior permission or clearance from a government. Then in 2014, Supreme Court said that this is not acceptable at all. If any person is engaged in corruption, then he or she should be the action should be taken on him or her straight away. You cannot wait for prior permission from the government. And imagine if that person is in nexus with the political party that is running the show, then of course you are not going to get this sort of clearance at all. So in this way, it can kill the whole purpose of curbing black money and corruption. Now there are other laws as well, like section 197 of CRPC and section 19 of Prevention of Corruption Act, that provides layers of shields to this corrupt people. And at present we should ensure, of course, that the people or the civil servants who are doing their duty honestly, who are trying their level best to take the right decision, but just in case if something goes wrong, then there should be some protective net as well, so that they do not get they are not hunted down by this CVC and CBI. Many times it happens in practical life that you take decision for your intentions are not wrong, but the outcome is not that profitable. So during this sort of time, there should be some protective net. But again, there are some loopholes. The central government, or when it comes to state government, Lokpal bill or Lokpal law is out for the longest time now, but since till now we don't have any Lokpal at national level. So if we really want to curb this corruption and black money, then we have to stop this sort of things, right? The government cannot come out with this sort of protective layer at all, because already in Maharashtra as well, you see this sort of laws are there. Of course, this punishment thing of 2 years is the first time that we are seeing in our country, but I'm sure that the way Supreme Court has given its verdict on this 2014 judgment regarding this clearance, the High Court of Rajasthan or Supreme Court will intervene in this thing. Moving on to another item, it is about cycle of terror. It is pertaining to this editorial is from Afghanistan. From last many days we are saying that continuously Afghanistan is under attack, isn't it? And multiple terror attacks recently has killed 200 people. This is not a small figure at all. 200 people died in Afghanistan. And earlier what used to happen in Afghanistan, that there was a sort of single armed insurgency, right? This terrorist used to fight only with the government, right? Taliban people were opposing only the government. They were not hurting or they were not killing the people of Afghanistan. But nowadays what we are seeing is that there is a sort of multiple level fight going on in Afghanistan. So you have ISIS, Islamic State on one side, and then you have other terrorist groups as well who are trying to target different sects. Like this recent attack, Shia mosques were under attack. We know that there are issues going on for the longest period of time between Shia Muslim and Sunni Muslim, and of course this ISIS is it claims itself as a Shia Muslim sect group, etc., etc. Of course, no terrorist, any terrorist, or they don't have anything to do with religion. They are just doing this for in the name of religion, but of course it is nothing to do with Shia and Sunni at all. That's what I personally believe. But this ISIS, what they are doing is they are targeting Shia people and other other sects living in Afghanistan, and this Taliban is targeting government. So on all different levels you can see that the fight is going on. And we know USA is one of the most powerful country when it comes to military strength and technology and all these things, but still from last 16 years it is in Afghanistan. It has deployed many soldiers and many other things, but still we cannot find any sort of solution at all when it comes to Afghanistan, right? The other thing is that Afghanistan is sharing border with Pakistan. Here you can see with the help of this picture, you can see India is here, then you have Pakistan here, and you have Afghanistan here. And recently we saw a sort of yesterday as well we were talking about this thing of Washington's South Asia policy, right? South Asia policy, and it is pertaining to the role of Pakistan, the role of India, and what could be done to sort out things in Afghanistan. This is all about this Washington's South Asia policy. Now you can see here that Afghanistan is sharing a border with Pakistan, and what happens normally is that let me first of all take you to some important items here. Look at here, you find Hindu Kush mountain range, very important item here. Then you have two rivers here, right? Farah river and Helmand river, again very important. You have Helmand valley as well here. Many times you find this sort of questions like where do you find this valley, and particularly the match the following type of question, right? in your prelims examination. Then Kandahar is a famous place over there. It has a historical relation with India as well, and you know that our flight was taken here. The hijacked flight of India was taken here in Kandahar, and you have Kabul, that is the capital of Afghanistan. And as you can see here, it is sharing border with Pakistan, and we know very well what Pakistan keeps on doing. It is using all sorts of this sort of terrorists and a terrorist organization for its own selfish motives. So this border area is a sort of hub for these terrorist groups. What they do is, whenever they find things are not in their favor, they will cross the border and they will come into Pakistan. So this is again a bit of challenge for us. And Taliban, there are many diplomats who recommend that Taliban should be taken on table. Means that we should invite them to have a chat with them, right? We should discuss things with Taliban, what they want, etc., etc. Because at present what we see is nearly 50%, right? Nearly 50% of Afghanistan is under Taliban's control, and it is growing on and on. Its the support that it enjoys in the rural area is growing up. Its network is expanding as well. It is having a collaboration with different terrorist groups, and we can see that global leaders or you can say countries are not able to collaborate with each other when it comes to terrorism, but terrorists are collaborating very well with each other. They are exchanging knowledge and all this sort of technology and money and everything. So this is a very dangerous thing that is going on, and still there's still different countries engaged in Afghanistan. They are always looking for their own selfish motives rather than looking at a big picture and the wellness of Afghanistan. So during Obama time, we're talking about Taliban, bringing Taliban on table. During Obama time, it was believed that Obama was willing to talk with Taliban, but at the same time American drones were hunting down this terrorist. So again, these Taliban people were not inclined to have a chat with USA or other countries. Then Afghanistan as well is a bit weak at present, so it cannot force Taliban. It cannot create a situation through which Taliban will come on table, and we know very well the Pakistan's dual play as well. So that's basically what's going on in Afghanistan. We have one more article that is pertaining to Afghanistan. It has some bits and pieces that will connect with Afghanistan, and it is about foreign policy of USA. Now the thing is, at present statements are coming out from USA, because we know that tomorrow the Secretary of State, that is the Foreign Secretary of USA, is going to be here in India. And we know the USA's policy when it comes to international policy or South Asia policy, it is still not clear yet. Because what happens is that when it comes to President Trump, when it comes to USA's military establishment, right, and when it comes to the State Department, they all are on different pages. That means the views that you get from all these three branches of USA is different from each other. Now say for example, when it comes to Pakistan, right, earlier the USA said that this ISI, that is Inter-Service Intelligence, that is the secret agency or the spy agency of Pakistan, was associated with terrorist group. That's what USA said a couple of weeks ago. At the same time, right, Mr. Trump comes out with a tweet, and he says in his tweet that he's going to develop relations with Pakistan. Right here they are condemning that Pakistan is engaged in dealing with terrorism and etc., etc., with terrorist groups, and on the same time you find Mr. Trump saying that he is going to develop relationship with Pakistan. Right, and then you find statement coming from USA that Pakistan is important. Pak is important when it comes to peace in Afghanistan, and if you want a stable South Asia, then Pakistan is you can say an important team player that you would need on board. Now USA is worried about a sort of nuclear war, right? Because we know that Pakistan and India both are having nuclear weapons. So USA is concerned that this place, India and Pakistan, this part of the world could go for a nuclear war. But what about its continuous threat and the things going on between USA and North Korea? This is a big concern compared to India and Pakistan. The other thing is that if you see that when it comes to other areas, like say for example, we know that when it came to Paris climate change, which is very important at present, then as well USA said that it is going to step out. When it comes to Iran, recently it has said that it is not going to go ahead, or we know it very well that now it has not recertified. USA, Mr. Trump has not recertified this Iran nuclear deal. This deal is not a property of USA. We know it very well. It is a deal that was done by international community with Iran. Again, with North Korea, it is being very aggressive, and when it is coming out of Iran, again we are not creating a sort of path or we are not creating a situation for future in which we would be able to persuade North Korea to come and discuss about its nuclear program. Because if USA is stepping out from this Iran nuclear deal, then North Korea has a clear sort of excuse, saying that they can easily say that if USA is going to step out after having a deal on us, then we are not going to talk about it. We have just recently talked about Afghanistan as well, and in Afghanistan it has been providing weapons and things like that. It is fighting Taliban, no doubt, but here again what is happening is in Afghanistan you find China is at present investing. It has invested a huge amount of money in Afghanistan. So we know the situation of USA and China, right? They are not, you can say, good friends. Then you have Russia as well. It has a historic relation with Afghanistan, so it is also interested in ensuring that everything is peaceful here. And these three countries are having veto power. They are part of United Nations Security Council, so they are the games that they play, their rivalry with each other is creating a sort of hostile situation in Afghanistan, and this is having a negative impact on India as well, because we know that China and Russia are supporting Pakistan at present. They are having good relationship with Pakistan. In fact, China terms, or they term each other, Pakistan and China, they call each other all-weather friend. So whether it would be a sort of dark era or dark period or a good period, whether it would be sunshine or it would be cloudy, whether they consider themselves as each other as best buddies. So this is the thing that is going on, and so we cannot rely on USA at present, because Mr. Tillerson himself has said that I wake up the next morning, the president's got a tweet out there. So this is the way USA is going on at present, and USA wants India to stop supporting or to stop dealing with Iran. Now it is going to be a sort of tough situation for India, because on one side it wants us, USA wants us to support Afghanistan, but on the other side it wants us to stop dealing with Iran. Now the thing is, Chabahar Port is a very important point, or important port for India, because what happens is, say for example, if we want to supply something to Afghanistan, then of course we have Pakistan in between, so we cannot use roadways, isn't it? Roadways are not possible. Then airways, we know it very well, is very expensive, isn't it? So this is not possible as well. So the best thing that we can do is, say for example, from here we can send items to this Chabahar Port. It is us, it is India who is building this Chabahar Port. So from Chabahar Port you can take rail and road network, and then you can reach here in Afghanistan. And once you reach here in Afghanistan, then you can supply items to different countries as well. You can, from Afghanistan, you can go to Turkmenistan and other Central Asian countries, and you can reach to Russia as well. So this the things, this is going to be absolutely beneficial for India and Afghanistan both, and Iran as well. But continuous sanctions are not going to help India in this way. So this is the thing that is this article is talking about, but of course I have added some extra thing that will help you to understand what's going on in this part of the world. And last thing that I would like to highlight, again a contradiction before closing this topic down, is this case of Hafiz Saeed, right? We know that USA recognizes him as a terrorist. India, we know it very well that he is a terrorist. Now recently Pakistan has we have discussed about this thing as well, that Pakistan took out all the charges. It was earlier Hafiz Saeed was alleged to be involved with terrorist activities, but now the government is saying that he is not, or it has removed all the charges that were against him. So again USA has kept itself mum, or it has not said anything at all regarding this stand of Pakistan. So these are the contradictions that we see. So let's wait and watch. His foreign minister of, or Secretary of State of USA is going to arrive here in India tomorrow. So let's see what are the outcomes of this visit. This one is about climate change. We have gone through the article of Sujata many times. She is a well-known scientist, and she keeps on we find many articles on climate change written by her in the Hindu newspaper. Now of course we know it very well, and it is a matter of common knowledge that fossil fuels and the way we use our land and the way our lifestyle and things like that are responsible for the release of greenhouse gases, isn't it? And greenhouse gases are basically trapping the energy, or you can say trapping the warmth or the heat, in fact, that is released by the earth, and that is coming from the sun. So when we have too much of greenhouse gases, then these greenhouse gases are trapping too much of heat, and this is resulting in global warming. At present, right, the Earth's temperature in 2016, it was 1.3 degrees Celsius. Now this is warmer, 1.3 degree. When we compare it to pre-industrial era, we know that after the introduction of all this steam engines and industry, after that since then we are releasing smoke, or you can say these poisonous gases in atmosphere, and this started somewhere around 1750. If you compare the Earth's temperature before that, then at present it is 1.3 degree, right? 1.3 degree all across the board. So this is an average increase. Remember, this is an average increase of 1.3. Now of course when you have 1.3 degree rise in temperature, then the snow is going to melt. When the snow is going to melt, then this snow will find its way into the sea and ocean. Then ocean and sea, their salinity will change. When too much of this sort of things are going on, of global warming is going on, then it will impact the wind system. It will impact the overall climate. And this article is saying that even if we follow Paris Climate Change Conference, or the pledges that we have taken, then as well by 2100 the Earth is going to be 3% warmer. Can you imagine? It is going to nearly double where we are at present, and this is going to be a sort of big catastrophe for the whole world, because the emission rate at present is going on at 2.6% per year from 2000 to 2015. And here she talks about a concept called negative emission. This is a good definition here. What negative emission is all about? Basically it means there are ways to remove carbon dioxide from atmosphere, or even change the Earth's radiation balance through geoengineering, using scientific methods to change the radiation balance, and using other methods, geoengineering, or you can say modern technologies, to absorb carbon dioxide and other pollutants or greenhouse gases from atmosphere. Now there are different methods. Of course we know that we need to plant more trees and use more bioenergy, more renewable energy, and also ensuring that we reduce this carbon in the atmosphere and things like that. And if we don't do it as per this article, we are going to hit 4 degrees Celsius. If you go through this different rise in temperature and its impact, then you find that 4 degrees Celsius means there is hardly any chance that you will find life on Earth, right? It means the species that we find here, biodiversity that we see here at present, you won't find it. We would be dead as well if 4 degree temperature is, if there is a rise of 4 degree, because it will be a very big sort of change, radical change in Earth's climate. So of course, what we have to do, yes, we have to work on all 3 levels. That's what I believe, that on international level as well. You cannot have some countries stepping out of this thing. This is a duty of particularly developed countries. They are the ones who got this benefits of this industrialization, right? So they cannot step out of it. The second thing is on national level as well. Every country should design policies in such a way that it is eco-friendly, and of course this can be possible if your country or if any country is not doing this thing. Then of course the individual level, from individual level we can have societal level, from society you can have state level, and from there you reach national level. So in this way individual action is going to be the main thing here. With this, dear friends, if we see the other articles that are mentioned here, this is about the politics of New Zealand. I don't think so there is any sort of important item in this one that will be helpful for your examination and preparation. And this one is a sort of political article written by Kapil Sibal. So we can leave these 2 articles, and as you know that it is important for you to identify what is important and what is not. So this 2 you can skip them without any sort of fear at all. Right, coming on to news item, opposition has no authority, says Narendra Modi. Yesterday we were talking about Ro-Ro ferry. If you haven't checked out yesterday's lecture, then I would recommend to do it, because Ro-Ro ferry thing is this is the first time we are seeing this sort of waterways system in our country, and this is the first step but not the last one. In future we will see Ro-Ro ferry services just like cars it is very common, isn't it? Or we are used to with the cars. In the same way, Ro-Ro would be is going to be the future, no doubt, because of it is more green, it is more cheap. So of course it is going to be the future. Now he has said, Prime Minister has said that he is going to take tough decisions that may not be popular, or they may not look popular, but it will have a positive impact on overall economy. And he said that financial stability will be maintained before taking any sort of reforms. He has talked about Sagarmala project as well. Yesterday I provided you a map of ports, isn't it? If you have gone through yesterday's lecture, then we talked about different ports, and this is all Sagarmala all about. So this is Sagar, right? Sagar means ocean or sea, and Mala means a sort of string, right? So this is Sagarmala connecting ports. So that's everything regarding it. And Hasmukh Adia, who is Revenue Secretary, has said that we need to overhaul the GST system, and he has said that if there is a sort of burden on common man when it comes to taxes, then of course the government will reduce the slabs of tax, and that's how it should be at present as well. I'm sure you might have observed this thing, or you might have gone through this thing, that if you go to some places or some items, the taxes are too high, and because of this thing many people are trying to skip this tax as well. Informality will increase if the taxes are going to be high. So of course whenever it is necessary, whenever government feels that there is too much burden, then taxes should be reduced. When you reduce tax, you expand the tax base. So either you can have higher tax and collect it, or either you can have a sort of vertical thing, or you can have a sort of horizontal thing. Of course the horizontal one is going to be more beneficial. Moving on to another item, it is about India and Bangladesh. And Susma Swaraj is in Bangladesh, and she has talked about Rohingya refugees. We have talked about Rohingya refugees in detail. You know many things. You have been provided with maps and many other things. So of course we know, we have talked about that during that point of time as well. We have discussed this thing, that the best solution is that these Rohingya refugees should go back to Myanmar, because that's their country, isn't it? And it is not the responsibility of Bangladesh or India to of course at this point of time we are supporting them, but the long-term solution is that we have to create a sort of environment in Myanmar so that they can easily go back to their country of Myanmar. So of course India is trying to put some pressure on Myanmar to find a sort of peaceful solution to this crisis. And again, something associated with India and Bangladesh is the smuggling of cattle. It keeps on going on, and BSF senior officer has said that the profits are too high, so that the profits associated with this bovine, or you can say cow and other milk producing animals, is too high. So it is very difficult to stop this thing, because India and Bangladesh, we share 4,096 kilometer long border, and this border is porous. That means it is you can go from one side to the other side very easily. So this is the thing, and here is the graph given here, so help yourself with that thing as well, dear friends. Bhitarkanika, this is an important item. Now Bhitarkanika is a national park of our country. It is located in Odisha, and the news is basically the forest authorities are happy because there is an increase in tourists in this Bhitarkanika. It is famous for crocodiles, so remember this thing. And you find other mammals as well, like important one is Gangetic dolphin. Then you have a reptile. Again, remember that turtles are they fall in the category of reptiles. So you find olive ridley turtle, and you find crocodiles here, of course, and you find king cobras as well. There are other species, and let me quickly show you the map of Bhitarkanika. So this is the state of Odisha here, and this is your Bhitarkanika. You can see important river like Mahanadi is here. You can see this place where you find nesting beach of this olive ridley turtle. So Mahanadi, you can understand that if you find too much fresh water coming here, so the environment that you will have here is going to be lush green. Apart from that, you have coastal area as well, and because of this thing you find rich storehouse of mangrove genes, which is one of the richest, right? Remember, Bhitarkanika is one of the richest when it comes to mangrove genes. So keep these items in mind. You find this sort of questions in your prelims examination. Abe, that is Shinzo Abe, has managed to get majority, absolute stable majority in a sort of snap election that were announced by him, and this is going to be beneficial for India, because Abe and Modi are sharing good relationship with each other. So no change in the political scenario in Japan is good for India. With this, dear friends, I have two questions for you, right? One is of course a sort of MCQ type question. The other one is you have to do a bit of research, but it would be interesting because this thing is important today. I have mentioned this thing indirectly, this international north-south trade corridor. I'm sure many of you might have identified it, but I would wait for your answers. Yes, dear friends, with this we come to an end to this discussion. Don't forget to subscribe this to our YouTube channel. If you have already subscribed, do turn the notification bell on. Share this lecture with other people as well, so that they can also have their share of knowledge, and they can learn something out of it. If you have learned something out of it, then do give us your like, pass your valuable comment with your answers. With this, dear friends, I end this discussion. I'll see you all soon. Till then, enjoy your studies. Take care. Jai Hind.